Let's change veins a little bit. Let's talk about digital hygiene and how you can take care of yourself online. And so first off, let's talk about passwords. Passwords are a big thing. Everybody needs them for everything. And I'm sure folks at home have heard you should not use the same password on different accounts. You should make sure to have varied passwords. But in reality, what do you want in a good password?
So if it's easier for a human to remember it than a machine, then usually that's one element of them that makes them better. Because if it's just a whole bunch of random, like say you have 8 just extremely random characters and digits, you will never be able to remember that. But a computer will be able to guess that decently easy. So if you make like a long like sentence that has like just a few misspellings here or there, then that'll prevent like a lot of attacks, a lot of the common attacks that are out there.
Right, yeah, so passwords that are easy to spoof are going to be things that like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yep.
Password, stuff like that. But it's also like easy to, spoof harder passwords, like say, 6 random characters, right? That you're remembering through some sort of avenue, right? But, passwords need to kind of have like a little bit of finesse with them, right? So it can't be generated, like it can't be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but it also can't be too short, and it needs to have enough variation in it to where like somebody's not going to really know if they've got your password or not, but like a computer, if a computer is going to hack it, it's going to take a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Different passwords for different sites. I use a password manager.
Password manager.
So basically I have one super secret password. There is a security flaw with password managers, right? Is that if somebody hacks into your password manager, they have all of your passwords. So the idea is that you have one super secret password that you change frequently, and you change it often, and it's long enough, and it's hard enough to remember, but you're the only person that knows that. And then that protects basically all of your other stuff, right? Which then you can have 12, 13, 14 random characters, and that's going to be hard to spoof, right? Because they're random, they don't contain like common words, they don't contain words that other passwords of yours contain, and same stuff we've been talking about. They're not too short.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So length being a big key part of what makes passwords secure. Yep. There's a little bit of math behind that one, but probably a bit technical for this audience.
If you want to look it up, look up information entropy.
Information entropy. It's fascinating. And that's like me being legitimate. That's not like sarcasm. I do find that fascinating.
I do indeed find this fascinating.
Rayfer, what are your opinions on password managers? Is it something you make use of, or do you?
I do make use of
options?
it. I definitely do make use of it, and anywhere I can, I enable the multi-factor authentication. Not the like phone text, like you'll get a code over text. Like you can get either one of the 2-factor keys, like USB keys for that, or random number generator on your phone, stuff like that. But I definitely do promote password managers as much as possible.
Awesome.
Yeah. There are things that you don't keep in your password manager, though.
Yeah, like what things do you not want in there?
Okay, so for instance, my password manager has the option to store credit cards. Yeah, no. That's not happening. Just because, right, like that is just like one guarded secret that's between them and like all of my credit card information. Other things include like, like if somebody got into my bank account, it's not going to be like the worst thing in the world because they can't make withdrawals from my bank account. But if I had a bank account, right, where I could wire money around and stuff like that, and that was, enabled for my bank account, right, like that wouldn't be on there. Other things, I don't know. The only other things I really don't keep on there are like privacy things. You know what I mean? Like I have one folder, and it's like for like bios, headshots, stuff that we send into conferences a lot, but like I don't want anyone to see those pictures of me. So like just this freaking face all over the place, it's awful. So like that's got That's got a password on it that I don't keep in my password manager. This sounds like not headshots and bios the more I
So another good thing about password managers is get one that allows you to write down like extra notes. So if a lot of websites that let you do like the emergency recovery or like the security questions that they have, like, you don't want to answer those truthfully because those are things that are very easily given up through just casual conversation with someone. Like, oh, how's your mom? Like, like
what was her maiden name again?
I heard it was their anniversary coming up soon. Like, where did she grow up? And so don't answer those questions truthfully and write down your fake answers in that notes section. That would be one of my tips.
Yeah,
Excellent advice.
I do that.
I don't think I've answered one of those truthfully in 4 years.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either.
Fun. So, we talked about passwords. That's kind of the big thing that people should do to protect themselves online. The next thing is just traffic. I'm on my laptop, I'm on my phone. Information is all around us. Like Wi-Fi is inherently unsecured because anybody who's nearby can find a way to tap into those signals. Is there anything that you can do to try to protect yourself in that aspect, to protect what you're doing online, try to keep it hidden more?
Do you want to say it or do you want me to say it?
I have thousands of things to say on this. So go for it, and then I'll catch
You'll
up.
fill in the cracks.
Yeah.
I pay for a VPN. I know that some people don't, right? But you're better off having no VPN than having a free VPN usually. So there's pluses and minuses, but I pay for a VPN. It's not expensive, right? But it does allow me the option to do some different things like onion routing or choosing a different server, stuff like that, to keep my stuff a little bit separate from the world.
Yep.
Other things that you...
Because if you're not paying for your VPN, then your VPN company is selling your traffic in order to make money, in order to run their VPN service, in order to get more customers to sell more data. So it's a vicious cycle right there.
Yeah, like basically, like if you're using your VPN to protect your data, but you have a free VPN, you no longer need a VPN because you're already giving away your data for free. Yeah.
If you're anywhere that you're normally not, so say you're going to a conference or something, I would turn off your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth unless you absolutely need to connect to Wi-Fi. But those things are constantly beaming out your past locations. So like your home Wi-Fi address, if you're not connected to Wi-Fi, your phone is continually asking, are we in range of our home network? And if not, then I'm just going to keep asking until we are. And so it'll give away your home address. It'll give away a history of where you've been. And also it gives away the unique identifiers for your specific device, which are trackable.
Yeah. I don't know. When we go to conference, if we're in like a place, like conferences where you've got like a ton of strangers around and, and there's smarter people right there at this conference with you, right? So I almost never connect to public networks. I'll just boot a hotspot. And it'll be like a hidden network, right? So that other people can't like piggyback off of your signal or whatever. But like, you know what I mean? Just knowing how to use like a hidden network, connect to that network, and have a data plan that allows for that, right? Like, but I'm lucky that way. Unlimited data all the way. So, but just avoiding public networks if you can, right? Like coffee shops are a good example, I guess.
So, is there any VPNs that you would recommend? I know sometimes that's some private information for a lot of folks, but is there any that you would recommend, or are there any that you would stay away from?
I would recommend doing the research for your specific needs. You know what I mean? Because people need VPNs for different reasons. If you travel a lot, your VPN is going to be different than if you stay at home a lot. If you're a student, it's going to be different than if you own your own business. So I would say just take the 10 minutes it takes to do a Google search because it'll be worth it.
Or you can set up your own VPN.
Yeah, you could also just do that on a free Sunday or whatever.
Over the weekend.
Yeah. See, I told you, sometimes we have projects.
That's true. Speaking of Google, though, there's been a lot of information, specifically about Facebook in the past, of selling user data. And Google is also famous for doing the same thing a lot of times. So, do you use Google as your search engine?
Not the English Google.
Not English Google.
So
What's your thought process behind that?
So I am upset with Google. I'm angry with them because I got a Google Home and I loved it, and it made a special little home in my heart, and and I loved it. And then I realized that it was answering to me differently than it would answer to other people, which is specifically a feature that I have turned off on my iHome. So I was very upset. So now it's just like, now I'm really mad because it's just like a dumb Bluetooth speaker now. Like that's all I can use it for, because like I refuse to like reconnect it, right? So like, so I'm mad at Google and I was upset about it. And then like days after that was when France had their whole thing, and they, oh my gosh, they had a lawsuit for like millions or something like that against Google.
$54 million.
$54 million for privacy leaks, because the EU has some stricter guidelines on that. But so France has like this $54 million lawsuit against Google. This is days after I'm upset about Google already. So then, so basically after that, it's Google's gonna have a lot of your stuff, right?
Yep.
Like they've seeped in to like our lives pretty far, right? But that doesn't mean that you can't throw them for a loop sometimes, right? Like sometimes you do things that you wouldn't normally do.
Yeah, there's a couple of blogs out there that show people like altering the algorithms or altering the profile that these big companies have on them, so that they start getting like brony ads instead of actual ads that they would like get normally shopping. So there are ways to sort of alter your profile, but that is still just like altering your profile at that point in time. And in the past, that's in the past, and that's going to be set in stone, set in digital stone.
Yeah.
Digital stone.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of talk about DuckDuckGo as a search engine. Doesn't track you, is what they claim.
Is what they claim.
What they claim. From the research I have done, it seems that way, but I also have not done nearly enough to say for certain.
Right.
I know I see a lot more ads on there than anything else. There's
Yep.
a source of revenue that they could have outside of selling user data. Have you guys heard anything about this? About DuckDuckGo, and should I be changing my search engine?
I think DuckDuckGo is one of the better ones. If the ads don't seem personalized to you, then that's probably a good route to go down, because the more personalized they get about you, then that means that's the more information that they're collecting about you. Another good one is Start Page.
Start Page.
Yeah. So that's another search engine that I know/have heard that they don't track anything. But
As far as you know.
yeah.
As far as you
No,
know.
but it is a pretty highly rated, like public opinion sort of privacy browser.
Okay, excellent. There's also the Tor browser, something a lot of people know of. They know of it as the dark web, and so obviously there's more uses for it than the dark web, and that's what we're going to talk about here. How does that help protect your security, and does it at all? Is it worth using?
So basically, to get into this, what Tor is basically like, we're going to encrypt things with layers of security based off of different keys. So if I have like one set of information, I want to ping it to like maybe 4 or 5 different people before it actually gets to its destination. So I'm gonna ping it to
Random people.
And I mean, don't like, I'm not saying like, okay, I'm gonna send it to Rafer, and then Rafer's gonna send it to the next guy in the chain. They're gonna be random, and they're gonna be everywhere. So I'm gonna send this to some random guy in, I was gonna say China. That's probably the worst example. Yeah, anywhere in San Francisco, and he's going to encrypt it with a key and then pass it on. And then the next guy is going to encrypt it with a different key and pass it on, which means that the sender, right, just needs to send it with one key, but the receiver needs to have all the different keys to unlock all the way back down to the core information. And what that does is that when I send a message, say I'm trying to send a message to Rafer, anyone who intercepts between me and Rafer is vulnerable. But with a Tor router, right, I'm sending it to random people across the world, and in that way, the vector for attack, or where I'm vulnerable, is much smaller. It's just me to like the very next random supernode.
Just the endpoints.
Right.
Yeah.
Coming from me to the first point, right? And then from the last point to the receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So onion routing is an option you have out there if you're looking for a different way to protect your data. Kind of cuts out the man-in-the-middle attacks, makes it very difficult for information to be gathered by someone just in the middle, trying to just peek
replay
at
attacks.
it as it goes by.
Yeah, replay attacks.
Yep.
That's also a good point, though, is some VPNs will do onion routing for you. So if that's something you want to do and you're super inspired after this and you're going to go out and get a VPN, right? Like,
You should do.
Yeah, if this is super inspiring to you and you go out and get a VPN and you also want onion routing, check it out. There's lots out there.
So, is there anything else that you can do to protect your digital hygiene? Or have we covered kind of the big hits that the average user should kind of do to protect themselves?
Reset your advertising IDs.
Yeah,
So
all the time.
on your phone, on your computer nowadays, on just about every digital device, it's today's cookies. Web cookies are sort of going out of style in terms of having or like tracking users through cookies, tracking how they move through the interwebs. So now the advertisers were like, oh, well, let's just put this number on their device, and then everybody can track that one number as they go everywhere throughout cyberspace. And so reset your advertising IDs, go to your settings, just do a search for ID or advertising ID or whatever, and it'll pop up. But that's how they build up these profiles of you based on that number. They say, oh, I know this person has this number. So, and they shop here, they go to these websites, they watch these videos. That's how they build those up. So as many times as you switch that advertising ID, that makes it harder for them to associate all of those different activities.
Yeah, I don't know. I would just keep an eye on your ads. You know what I mean? If things are looking a little too personal, right, then it's time to switch it up. But like, ads are why we have so many vulnerabilities. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is a pet peeve of mine, but like advertisement companies, because they want to track you, they're like one of the biggest reasons why we've got way too much information out there, is because they want to provide a super personalized ad, which is kind of creepy. Like, I don't know advertising companies that well. I don't want super personal suggestions from them, but that's what they think we want, right? So watch your ads, because they're going to be like the first people that notice something about you before. We say a hacker, right? Everyone pictures like some like hooded figure like tapping away at a keyboard somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But what makes you vulnerable is where your information is, and advertisement companies know better than anyone where your information is.
Gotcha. So in that vein, should I get rid of my ad blocker so I can see when something is happening? Or is an ad blocker?
No, because an ad blocker will just keep that from happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
One final question. It seems like a lot of work. It seems like a lot of work to protect yourself online. Is it worth it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you bring up the ad blocker, right? Like I don't have an ad blocker. Like, well, I gotta turn it off all the time if I'm gonna watch, something or.
I just have a JavaScript blocker, and the JavaScript blocker will block the ads because they're normally served through JavaScript. So.
Yeah. Similar story here. Like, so the lesson of the day, go do a Google search, find what's best for you.
And Google yourself. See what's
Google
already
yourself.
out there.
You should definitely do that. Everybody should do that. You never know when you had like a really cringy Twitter account from when you were 12. Like, so, I mean, if it's not in the vein of like personal security, in the vein of your privacy, Google yourself. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Google yourself and, figure out what the first people see about you is.
And your kids are going to be able to see this.
Yeah.
So get ready for that.
Don't pay for anything that's like, I'm going to scrub the web for you, though.
Yeah.
Like, any service that's like, I'll go looking for you, like, you're paying them to do what you don't want anyone to do. So, like, don't pay for that, but... and if it's out there on the internet, like, you can do your best to cover it up, but, like, it's forever. So remember that going forward. If you put something on the internet, it's forever.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for sitting down for this interview. If there's anything you want to plug that you're doing, either with Cedar, on your own time, personally, like if you want to share something, you're welcome to do so now, but you don't have to.
You don't. Come to Data, Cybersecurity RSO, Thursday nights at 7 o'clock in Engineering 4066.
There will be a graphic up that
Yes.
tells you where it is.
Right.
Right here. Yeah, DATA, Defense Against the Dark Arts, that's a really good one. If you're interested in cybersecurity but don't know where to get started, we are doing a Capture the Flag competition. It's a national competition, but it is
the
tons of
NCL
fun.
again?
This is
Oh,
NCL.
nice. That was
Andy will be joining us for that.
Yes.
It's puzzles is what it is. You get to you can try different categories, different types of puzzles. You get points. Everybody loves a good point-based system.
Yeah.
So
Getting points is.
Yeah.
There's also a leaderboard.
Yep,
You can
there's a
compare yourself to
leaderboard.
everybody else in the world. I did pretty well on cryptography.
Yeah, right.
Toot my own horn,
That's
but
we're pretty good. If you want to be pretty good, you should email, or you know what? Just stop by the Cedar Lab, 4070.
4th floor of engineering building.
That's
It's
where
got
all
a
the
big
cool
fancy
kids
sign
are.
outside of it. There's a
Yeah.
big tree on the wall, a bunch of windows. A bunch of
If
cool
you're
people
yeah.
inside.
And if you're not interested in CTFs, but you are interested in projects or research, stop by.
Still stop by.
Yeah.
Stop by. Or maybe you're not interested in cybersecurity at all, but you walk down this hallway a lot and you've always wondered what's on the other side. You could also come and stop by for that reason.
There you go. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. We're going to head right back to the studio to finish off this episode of Source. Oh, yeah. Ooh, stand on the cables.
Cool.